Welcome to the Explainer. We're jumping right in today because we have got an absolutely epic history to unpack. We are going to be diving into the story of arguably the greatest of all the heavenly hosts, Archangel Saint Michael. But what we're really uncovering here is a totally fascinating paradox. We're talking about a literal cosmic defender, the supreme military commander of the heavens, whose immense power is entirely rooted in something you probably wouldn't expect: absolute humility. So let's explore how this unseen guardian has basically shaped both cosmic history and human tradition.
Now, you might be wondering about the name itself. In ancient sacred languages, Michael, or pronounced Mikael in Hebrew, isn't just some random title. It's actually a profound theological question: who is like God? And honestly, this question is the ultimate declaration of humility. Think about it. When the spiritual world was created, angels were given incredible power, wisdom, and beauty. Yet the greatest of them all is defined by a name that constantly deflects attention away from himself, pointing straight back to the uncreated creator.
So here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, the meaning of Michael. Second, the fall of Sataniel. Third, the biblical defender. And finally, the living tradition.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the meaning of Michael. The absolutely crucial thing to understand here is that his name is the ultimate antithesis to pride. No matter how glorious or radiant or powerful a created being might be, Michael's identity is this constant, unshakable reminder that nobody can ever compare to God. He's basically the absolute standard bearer for divine humility. He shows us that true strength in the spiritual realm doesn't come from hyping yourself up, but from recognizing exactly who you are in relation to the Creator.
Moving right along to Section 2, the fall of Sataniel.
Okay, let's rewind. Way back before the physical universe even existed, God structured the invisible spiritual realm into 10 distinct angelic ranks. And the angel holding a position of immense glory over all these ranks was Sataniel, who we later know as Lucifer. Looking at his own blinding radiance, Sataniel basically became utterly intoxicated by pride. His treasonous declaration was literally, "I will make myself like the Most High." He claimed to be the creator of the cosmos. No way, right? But in stark contrast, Michael's response is his very essence. Who is like God? Now, because angels don't see God directly in his full essence, Sataniel's massive lie sent a huge shockwave of confusion through heaven. Millions of angels actually began to waver, their reality shaking under this very first rebellion.
So right in the middle of this unprecedented cosmic crisis, Michael steps right into the center of the chaotic assembly. And he didn't boast of his own strength to counter Sataniel. Instead, he raised a banner of humility. He uttered this historic declaration, beautifully preserved for us in the ancient Giaz language, Be Mahabre Malalikt Balenabit Enzna, which translates to, "Let us stand well, let us stand with fear, let us stand in our places until we know who our Creator is." By shouting this, he completely shattered the deceptive illusion of Sataniel's pride and steadied the trembling millions of angels. The fallout from this was massive. It changed the spiritual realm forever. Because of his unwavering faithfulness during this incredibly intense trial, God actually elevated Michael, making him the supreme chief archangel, the leader of all the heavenly hosts. That rebellion of pride simply couldn't coexist with the harmony of heaven, so a great war broke out. Sataniel and the third of the angels who fell for his deception were stripped of their light, transformed into demons, and forcefully cast into the abyss. From that exact moment, Saint Michael was cemented as the eternal guardian of righteousness.
Which brings us to Section 3, the biblical defender.
So if we look across Scripture, Michael is constantly showing up as this unseen shield, standing between the faithful and overwhelming dark forces. He is meticulously documented as God's primary guardian. In the Old Testament, when the prophet Daniel fasted for 21 days, it was Michael, called one of the chief princes, who arrived to help in the spiritual battle against the prince of Persia. Daniel chapter 12 even declares him the great prince who stands watch over the people. And jumping to the New Testament, Revelation leaves zero doubt that Michael is God's appointed instrument, detailing the epic war in heaven where Michael and his angels fight and cast out the great dragon.
Let's actually zoom in on a very specific Old Testament encounter in the book of Joshua, chapter 5. Joshua is standing near Jericho and sees a man with a drawn sword. Joshua straight up asks him, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" And the figure replies with this definitive answer, "Neither, but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come." Joshua immediately fell prostrate in worship. He recognized instantly that he wasn't just talking to some soldier. He was standing before the supreme military authority given directly by God himself.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
tying right back into his core identity. In the New Testament epistle of Jude, we get a rare glimpse into a hidden spiritual dispute. Michael is contending directly with the devil over the body of Moses. Now, as the supreme commander, you'd probably expect him to just use his own immense might to destroy his adversary, right? But instead of reviling him, he simply said, "The Lord rebuke you." Even when facing the ultimate enemy, Michael operates entirely within divine order, holy humility over boasting every single time.
And finally, Section 4, the living tradition. Now, if we look at the ancient apostolic tradition of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church today, St. Michael holds an extraordinarily revered place. To really understand this, we have to look at the Synxar. This is the Holy Synaxarium, basically a meticulous text tracking the lives of saints and historical church events. And it's through the Synxar that the Church records the ongoing wonders and intercessions of St. Michael. And there's one specific number you really need to know here: 12. According to the Synxar, the Ethiopian Church dedicates the 12th day of every single month to commemorate the deliverances wrought by St. Michael. He isn't just celebrated once a year. His protection is invoked and remembered constantly, month after month.
Out of all those monthly commemorations, two massive annual feasts really stand out with immense national and spiritual prominence. First, we have Haidar 12, which falls in November. This commemorates that ancient cosmic event we talked about earlier, his appointment over the heavenly hosts following the fall of Satnel. Then there's Sine 12 in June. This one celebrates a very human miracle, the miraculous deliverance of Saint Bahran, where Saint Michael literally turned a tragic decree of death into a blessing of life. So they're celebrating both his cosmic victories and his intimate personal rescues.
And that brings us to the Der Sene Michael. This is a dedicated book of homilies and testimonies read faithfully by believers. Through texts like this, you really see that the Archangel is venerated not just as a historical or mythical figure from the distant past. No, he is recognized as an active, living minister of mercy, reign, and divine protection sent by God to aid us right here, today.
Which brings us to our final thought. We've seen how the commander of the heavenly hosts draws his unmatched power from absolute humility. So I want to leave you with this to ponder. In a world so completely driven by pride, how does the ultimate warrior's weapon of humility change how you fight your own battles? If the greatest angel defeats darkness not by elevating himself, but by pointing entirely to the Creator, what might that mean for us? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this deep dive sparked your curiosity and gave you a fresh perspective on